ठीक है Assalamu alaikum, good evening everyone, hope you're well. Just finished the Q&A session with Liam Byrne, who is going on to become the one of the candidates for the Metro Mayor on Thursday the 6th of May. Now that's finished, we're going on to our second show, which is all about the impact and why did Pakistan go onto that red list. So and today I have Brother Wajid Ali, who is the CEO of Orbit Tours, who's going to help us talk about that and what it means for the people of Pakistan as well. So yeah, let's go through that. I hope you will. So if you want to get your questions, your comments, if you've got your particular family predicament, your scenario, then please point that out to us. The number is 01216829735, and between me and Wajid we'll do our best to get that answered for you. Okay. Assalamu alaikum, good evening everyone. My name is Mr. Ali, and this is the second bill of tonight as well, which is the 6th of April 2021, and it's just gone 8 minutes past 9. So apologies for being late, simply because we had Liam Byrne and the amount of questions and comments that were coming in were thick and fast. So today's show, it is only a half an hour show, so please get your questions and comments in early. We are going to be talking about the recent government by the recent announcement by the UK government to announce that Pakistan is coming onto the red list. These are countries with a new strain or with high positive COVID numbers, and they there's about 39 of them now, and Pakistan is going to enter that from Friday the 9th from 0400 hours. And we have a lot of family friends that are in Pakistan stranded, not knowing what to do as well, and they are elderly, there may be people with a health predisposition, there may be people that need to go back to school again with young children, and also the holy month of Ramadan is coming. Tickets are just gone sky high, as much as £2,500-3,000 for a single fare. So there are a lot of there's a lot of impact that's been having. There's some people are saying that they fully deserve what predicament they find themselves in, because they knew the situation that the ground level that was in Pakistan, and it was no surprise to some of the some of those social and political commentators that knew what the rates were. But anyway, let's introduce to the show Brother Wajid Ali, who is the owner of Orbit Tours. So welcome to the studios of Radio Awaaz, Brother Wajid. So when you heard last week that the UK government announced that Pakistan is going to be entering the red list, were you overly surprised, or what was your first thought that came to your mind?
My first thought was there's rumours going on for weeks, but there was no confirmation of when it was. I was hopeful that it wouldn't go on the red list, but it eventually did go on the red list. It wasn't surprisingly.
Yeah, no. And I think for me, it was a matter of time as well, because we were supposed to go to Pakistan as well in March, because my niece was due to get married, and my brother, and we were just saying, look, it's just far too risky. At any time, this could come in, and it just leaves you in a real panic, and you're having to then sort of do the locator form, the PCR form, then maybe even bring a whole load of people back within a short space of time. There's not enough flights out there, and you're paying extortionate amounts for a flight as well. So for those of you that are aren't aware, as of this Friday from 0400 hours, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Kenya and Philippines are now going to be entering the already 34 or 35 countries, bringing it to a total of 39. And what that means is that, anyone that is a British citizen, so if you don't have citizen rights, you can't come in here.
That's correct.
So if you are a British citizen and you're entering directly or indirectly to the UK, what does it mean then, Brother Wajid? What will happen?
Anyone who's not permitted to stay, if they got a visa to stay, residency, or UK citizen, they are allowed to enter the UK direct or indirect. However, as soon as you entered, and if you fly from a red list country or connect through, which is the most important part, through a red list. Give you a typical example is going through on Emirates flights from Pakistan through Dubai and entering into the UK.
Yeah.
And just a layover is about an hour, 2 hours. You still automatically will fall into that red list, meaning that each adult will have to pay 1750 for the hotel plus the £210 mandatory PCR test. So that brings you back to just under £2,000 per person.
Wow.
And if you're a family of five, you're looking at about £5,000-6,000 on top of your already expenditure.
Wow, wow. So, these are not small costs, especially you've gone there for, for whatever reason. And traveling abroad is only for, essential. So unless you've got, a sick relative, you've gone there for a wedding, you've gone there for medical or educational reasons, there's no other reasonable or rational excuse that will allow you to leave the shores of the UK. But we do know that there are roughly 35,000 Pakistanis that are stuck in Pakistan that are now in a clamour to get back. And, for those of us that are on social media, we've seen over the last few days, people are now queuing all the way onto the street for offices of PIH or other agents as well to try and book a ticket, and you can't buy it for love or for money. I've heard, Brother Wajid, that for a single return you're paying up to 5 or 6 lakhs, which is about 2.5,
about 2,000 to 2,500, which is ridiculous, and per person. So you're not only you're defeating the object. You might as well come home and stay in the hotel in the UK.
Yeah.
If you're going to pay, at least you're going to save £500 that way.
Yeah.
But as of today, I don't think, unless you're holding a negative PCR, there's no point you booking a flight, because you would never make it for the deadline.
No.
Because at the worst case, minimum it takes 24 hours to get a result. So if you go for tomorrow, if you're lucky, you'll get it for Thursday.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So one of the things that we want to sort of discuss is, why was Pakistan put onto the red list in the first place? We already mentioned from Liam, and you've also now alluded to that, Pakistan is by no means the worst country in terms of the positive cases, or that he has virulent strains. These are, different, more infectious strands. Like now, the South African strain is 70% more virulent than the current COVID strain. So obviously the government is, cautious that it doesn't spread like wildfire, or that the vaccination may not be as effective in those new strains. So there's rightfully so, there is extreme caution for those people that are coming back into the UK. So people have gone, right or wrongly, they're there now. And, I know in Mirpur, there was a lockdown a couple of weeks ago, because the people there, the health ministry was saying the reason why our Kashmiris are dying and getting positive cases is because the expats from UK, the British Pakistanis are coming here. They are bringing the positive cases here. Sometimes they are coming under false PCR tests. And they come in here, and what do you do when you go back to Pakistan? You hug, you kiss, you spend time with your loved ones and your friends and your neighbours. And what you are doing is you're passing on here. We don't have the infrastructure to deal with that. So that's what happened. Thoughts on that? About the negative PCR and people taking the fake PCR tests.
I think the situation that arose in Pakistan a couple of weeks ago, I don't think you can entirely blame the British Pakistanis for the issue completely.
Yes.
Because I think it's false on both sides.
Yeah.
People who have infection there, they'll go out and meet the family and spread it that way. So it's a bit of both. With regards to negative false PCR test, you're not. There was a news article a couple of weeks ago that police had to offload 50 to 60 people through off a Virgin flight heading to Islamabad, which is unacceptable. There's reasons behind this, and a precaution. it might be inconvenience, it might be frustration, especially if you've got a family member who is uh, critically ill and you want to be there as soon as possible. But you're not only putting yourself at risk, your family, you're putting other people at risk. And as you're aware, you've got 300-400 people in a plane for 8-9 hours.
Absolutely.
So if you do have COVID, the likelihood of you spreading that is very high.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's a separate conversation. But that's one of the reasons why the Mirpuri government and the health authorities were sort of pushing or pinning the blame on the overseas British Pakistani community that had travelled there. So the government here has now booked 58,000 rooms for anyone coming from a red list, and that includes Dubai, that includes Qatar, includes Bangladesh, includes PCR. So you mentioned, Pakistan now. So you are coming from a red list, whether directly or indirectly, into the UK. You are now landing, and it'll be there in terms of the passenger locator that you come from Pakistan. Automatically, they will then transport you from the airport straight into a government-approved institution, whether it is a hotel or a hoarding place. And for 10 days, as a minimum, you will have to stay there. And Brother Wajid has already mentioned, in terms of the cost, my understanding is, brother, 1,750 is for example, now I've taken my family, is for me as a main householder, I will have to pay. For my wife, it is 650.
No.
No?
It's 1,750 per adult.
Okay.
The 650 is for up to 12 years old. And the younger children, it's like a normal ticket.
So over 12?
Yeah.
Over 12 to 16, you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you got the 650.
Yeah.
Then you got the 5s to the 12s, who are 350. And anyone below that is free.
So any adults will be paying 1,750.
Yeah.
And any children between 12 and 16, it's 625.
So any children is anything between 350 to 650. The exact ages, I could locate that.
No, it's okay. I think we get an idea.
And anyone below 5, it's free of charge. But again, that is a large amount of
Absolutely. And I think maybe worth also, I know it won't be any kind of comfort, but that does include food and drinks, and includes the testing. I know you mentioned that the day 2 and 8 testing.
No, that doesn't include that.
Does it not?
No. That is. Let's get clarification that 1,750 covers your transportation, your hotel, your food, everything while you're out there. On top of that, anyone over the age of 12 is required to have the mandatory PCR test, which is day 2 and day 8.
Absolutely.
And if you do not book it prior to landing, you are exposing yourself to up to a 10,000 pound fine.
Fine, yeah. So before you even leave Pakistan, it is important that you complete the passenger locator form and you book the PCR test by a government approved. So you can't go to Al Shifa Pharmacy or Noor Pharmacy. These are government approved providers now, that you have to get those test books between day 2 and 8. And for example, we said minimum 10 days. Yeah. But if, for example, at day 2 or 8 you turn out to be positive, then you serve another 10 days on top of that.
There is an extension. You have to stay an extra period after your mandatory 10 days if you tested positive during them 10 days.
Yes, yeah. So, I know Ramadan is coming. I know people are getting stressed out, not only in terms of the cost for the 1,750 per adult, but also the fact that you don't want to be staying in a hotel. So there's a lot of stress there. So please, if you've got any questions, comments about was the UK government right in terms of introducing Pakistan onto the red list effective from Friday? Was this inevitable? Was the number of people that were going and spreading the COVID in Pakistan? And when we say Pakistan, we're including Kashmir in there as well. Pakistan and Kashmir in there. And what about those people that went knowing that they had a fake PCR test? Are they culpable as well? please get your question in the comments. The other point that I was going to make was, Brother Wajid, is a number of people are now obviously are trying to find a way out of this. They don't want to pay 1,750. So they're trying to obviously trying to get a flight in before Friday, which is proving almost impossible. Like I said, you got to pay about 5 or 6 lakhs to get there. Try and get a PCR test is almost impossible. What people have already got their tickets that were due to fly out before Friday. What they're doing is they're going onto the airport and they're finding that their ticket has been cancelled and missold by an agent or PIA for a much extortionate fee, and so that person who paid maybe 5 or 6 lakhs is going, but the person who was originally scheduled to go before Friday, they say, look, your ticket is invalid, go after Friday, or we'll give you your refund back, or whatever it may be. Have you heard of those sort of cases as well?
I've heard of those sort of cases. Any PIA flight they are doing directly from Islamabad.
Yes.
Office. As an agent, we don't have access to them flights. I was in the same situation, sitting there in Pakistan this time in March of last year. I missed my flight got cancelled by 3 hours. Qatar Airlines. So I was there for an extra 2 weeks. But I sat there in Islamabad Airport, Islamabad PIA office, and there's mayhem. They were cancelling a scheduled flight, and on the same flight details, they said that's a chartered flight. So if you had a flight out, you had to pay for new flight tickets to come back on, and they said deal with your refund issue when you come back. Issue is there is no other flight in, and with Pakistan banning all international passengers into Pakistan until the 20th of April, I can't see it feasible of British Airways or Virgin or any other airlines sending an empty plane to pick up passengers unless it's subsidised.
No, absolutely. As you know, people are sort of trying to find alternative ways of spending. So, for example, 10 days in a non-red list country, for example, Bahrain or Turkey. So people are saying, look, why should we, pay 1,750 to stay in a government-approved hotel? Why don't we go for 10 days into Bahrain or into Turkey, stay for 10 days there, or shall I say 11 days and 10 nights, and then come back to the UK and just quarantine at home? Is that a real possibility? Is that something that people can do?
As per the UK guidelines, they are as point of entry into UK port. They are only concerned for the previous 10 days.
I see.
So if you're in Pakistan day 11, 12, they're not interested. Because you have to enter UK with a negative PCR test. So whether you go to Bahrain, Turkey, Malaysia, wherever you want to go, before you even board the flight, you'll have to have a negative PCR. So that is the incubation period for COVID, them 10 days. That's why they're concerned around the 10-day period. Where have you been for them last 10 days? So if you have COVID, you will know that when you go for the PCR, and then you would not be allowed to re-enter. Now, you run a risk of going to Bahrain on a holiday for them 10 days of their holiday, but when you departed Pakistan, you didn't have COVID. When you were in this any other country, you contracted COVID. Then you're in a dilemma. Where do you stay then?
So you got to either extend the stay, and also there's a risk. I know Qatar, Dubai, UAE is on the red list, but there's no reason why Bahrain can't be as well. So you go in from a red list country thinking Bahrain isn't, but this situation is very fluid.
Yes.
So don't for one moment think that Bahrain is a safe country and 10 days is an awfully long time, as we found out with Pakistan. That could also be put onto a onto a red list. So whatever you do, there is a small amount of risk that you are undertaking as well. I think that's worth.
I think the best advice is if you can stay.
Yeah, in Pakistan.
And see what happens after the night.
of
April.
May. Oh,
9th of April. The reason for that is there's a lot of, like Liam said it, the likes of Nashar, our local one, Shabana Mahmood, have wrote letters to Dominic Raab asking these questions. Now, it can change. We're not giving any confirmation that it has changed. There are rumours on social media going around that government have done U-turns.
No.
My advice is ignore all that. Go to the .gov website and check it for yourself.
Yeah.
And the other key element that you have to be very, very careful is, especially in Pakistan, if you're booking a ticket, is they can sell you a ticket. I've got it for £800, but if you don't look at connection flights, and if you do, if even one of them connection flights is through a red list country, you've shot yourself in the foot.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And you know what? You know, born and bred here, I know how the system works. You know, I don't think the UK government will review its position until its earliest date, when they review the countries which should be on the red list and which aren't. You know, which is, I think, every 2 or 3 weeks they look at it. You know, and they made this decision knowing what the circumstances are, and the fact that there's 35,000 British Pakistanis are in Mirpur and Azad Kashmir and Pakistan. So, you know, this won't change. You know, I've got nothing to base it on, but apart from my own experience and judgment, until when the earliest opportunity is when they review the list anyway, which is normally about 3 weeks. So that's just from my. I'm just going to read out some of the points and comments that you've posted as well. So the studio number is 0121 682 9735. Wajid Ali is a travel agent. He operates Orbit Tours. So if you've got any questions, comments about, you know, any particular aspect about your family, friends overseas or anything like that, or in fact, you know, if you're traveling there as well, you know, there are still people traveling there. Okay, not for 2 or 3 weeks. They're going there for maybe 2 or 3, 4 months, thinking that it'll be over by then. So again, you know, they go in there with their eyes fully open. Javed Akhtar, PIA have robbed us with both hands, absolutely, and even have taken our clutch off. Thank you, Javed. You know, talking about PIA, do you think there's a responsibility that they've actually got to play in terms of the extortion of price, you know, or is it just supply and demand?
I think it's difficult to say, but there is a lot of factors waved into this pricing. It's wrong for me to comment on something without, for example, what's going behind the scenes. Even Pakistan going on the red list, we are looking at off the surface. We don't know what the reasoning is behind that. Until we know that, then we can start to understand why Pakistan was put on here. But I think the most important thing that British Pakistanis need to understand is let's get your own house in order.
Yeah.
Let's ignore the other countries. Yes, I understand that the likes of France, Germany, Italy, the European countries are a lot higher than Pakistan, but complaining about them does not address the immediate issue. First thing is go through your proper channels, speak to your MPs who can voice this on your behalf. There's no point going on Facebook and ranting and raving, because that's not going to achieve nothing. You need some voice, and your local MPs or councillors, you need to take your concerns through them. That's their job. That's the reason why you voted for them in, is to raise these concerns on your behalf.
Yeah, well said, Wajid. I think sometimes we do get a bit jizbath, passionate, in other words. I think, you know, in these sort of situations, you got to use the right channels and channel your energy in a positive way. So well said. Jav, we have 30,000 British Pakistanis stranded in Pakistan. I can understand if you had a family emergency, such as a death in the family who had to go, but the majority went to chill, which is unforgivable in the current pandemic. I don't have any sympathy for them. They had a choice and will now face the consequences. Weddings are non-essential. They could have been delayed, but you can't delay funerals. That's a very passionate
exactly.
point.
I had that. I'll be honest with you. I had that conversation with your brother, Last year, I believe he was
That's right.
planning on going out, and Saj, your other brother, he went out prior to that.
That's right.
And I was speaking to him. I said, "You might as well enjoy it.
Yeah.
The weeks you can't do nothing at that point in time. There's no point panicking."
Yeah.
And even your brother was looking at going out this year. I advised against it. I said, it's not just one or two. I think you had about, including extended family, about 30, 40 going out. So if you look at 30, 40 people going out on £2,000 a pop, it's going to be a one expensive.
So we got you to say for not going and saving us £100,000 really.
Yeah, it is. You're talking about a lot of money.
Yeah.
People go to Pakistan with a clear budget. This is what's cost me on my flight. This is how much I'm taking of spending money. They do not put contingencies in place.
No.
And not again, and a lot of people cannot afford these kind of levels of money to return, whether it's quarantine or this extortionate amount of fares.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Just reading more comments. Mukhtarim, the airline should do the PCR test on the passenger and check themselves before getting on a flight. The only thing with that is, Mukhtarim, that's a lateral flow test. It's not as accurate as a PCR. That's the only difference as well.
Again, that just tests antibodies.
Yeah.
I had COVID.
Yeah,
Test
that's right.
antibodies, and doesn't tell you if you got actual symptoms behind it, because you might not be showing any symptoms.
That's right. And a third of the, for example, 30% of the people don't show any symptoms at all. So they may be positive, but maybe asymptomatic.
Yeah.
Muzi Brand, Assalamu alaikum, brother. How are you? I'm very good, thank you. Alhamdulillah. Really enjoying this evening. Very informative. So I had Liam Byrne earlier on, and brother Wajid now talking about the red list for Pakistan being entered from Friday. If people can spend crores on building mansions in Pakistan, why are they moaning about paying 2K for hotel quarantine costs? I've been told that Pakistan has been lifted from red zone. Moody Brand, I use my platform here on Radio Aapki Awaaz. You've also heard it from Brother Wajid. You know, those stories that you are hearing from some of the Pakistani news media outlet are completely fake, are completely false. Please do not listen to them. UK is going onto the red list from Friday, that is that. Check the British government website. So that's the authentic data.
All they have to do is just go to Google, type in UK red list countries, and look for the link where it says .gov.uk, and it'll take you straight to the page, and from that, there's a list there.
Yeah. And also, Brother Modi, just your point, they only announced it last week, I think it was Thursday or Friday, that the following week Pakistan enters the red list. Before they even entered it, they aren't going to take it off, because they would have had all the facts, they would have made the decision, and they're not going to just change it now because one or two people are jumping up and down and screaming or going onto social media. So, yes, I think we've got to use the right channels, i.e. the MPs, to put pressure on the government and on SAGE, and for them to review this at the earliest opportunity, whenever that may be. Javed, when Imran Khan tested positive for COVID-19, it was only a matter of time when Pakistan would enter the dreaded red list. Raja Tufail Faruqi, Javed, by those crores you mentioned, they've been spent bale empty kotiya. The prices for COVID-19 day 2 and day 3 from the government site range from 160 to 210, so worth shopping there. Once you book COVID-19 test, authorities will ring you every day, checking if you are self-isolated and following the rules. Yeah, absolutely. That's their job. They will make sure that you do comply with the isolation at home. That's more with home rather than with the security or the isolation in the hotels, because they will have security there at the hotels. Pav Iqbal, problem was minority of UK Pakistanis, people who have travelled to Pakistan knew the risk. Pakistan should not have allowed people to travel direct and indirect. You think Pakistan has been following their own guidelines? Everyone to blame. One good thing about the Pakistani Kashmiri is they never admit they are at fault. Remember last year, March, April, exactly the same. Role Rapa, they like sure Machang, they will never learn. Mukhtarim, Pakistan news telling lies about red list, which our community believe. Check, as you mentioned, gov.uk list. Pakistan is definitely on it. If you were traveling to Dubai after the 17th of May and have both doses of vaccine, do you still need to have COVID tests done?
Yes. Again, there will be, Boris Johnson announced a traffic light system in place.
Yes.
He hasn't made it clear which countries. There's again, Dubai is a rumor.
Yeah.
All these countries are rumored until they're confirmed. There will be a red light traffic light system, but you will require a pre and post PCR test. So before you go, and before you board your return flight.
Sure. No,
But what Boris Johnson said is, if you go to a green country, you would not need to self-isolate. But again, this information will be released in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't go about planning your holiday yet.
No. Yeah, no, absolutely. So, Moody, you've come back with another point. People have been traveling from Dubai to Pakistan, so they don't have to come back to the UK and quarantine to save themselves the money. They put their poor lives at risk. Shame on you people who don't consider thinking twice before they put those poor lives at risk. Finally, good program and presentation. Thank you. We are now coming toward the end of the show, and it's been, I hope, useful and informative for yourselves. You know, we've sort of clarified in terms of, for those of you that have family and friends in Pakistan, as to what you do. The best advice by Brother Wajid is that if you can, and I know it's difficult with maybe health reasons, maybe because of you don't have enough budget to stay there, maybe because you've got children that need to go back to school in a week's time, maybe because Ramadan is a difficult period, especially when the weather is so warm. There are a number of reasons why you want to come back, but if you can, the best advice by Brother Wajid is to stay there, walaikum salam, until the earliest opportunity, when the UK government will get a chance to review the data that is for Pakistan, and obviously the political pressure that is being applied via UMP. So one thing that you can do, those of you that are concerned, is write or email to your MP, asking them to contact the Foreign Commonwealth Office or the Health Secretary to look at the list and maybe review their decision why Pakistan is on there as well. So I hope you found it useful. I'm just going to allow Brother Wajid to maybe sort of just give a final sort of concluding summary and remarks as to the situation that we find ourselves in. If you've got any further questions, by all means, if you want to leave an email or a phone number for people to contact you, please, by all means, do so as well.
All our details are on our website. It's orbittours.co.uk. And our email address is inquiries. More than happy to answer any questions. To be honest, our call number has been inundated. We're not here to book a ticket. I'll be honest with you. As long as you get home safely, alhamdulillah, your du'as are more than enough for us. So we're not here to... I was stuck in the same situation as you guys are this year. I was there last year, so I'm fully aware. I sat in the PIA office as an agent and as a passenger. It was horrendous. And I felt for all the people, the frustration they went through, the frustration they are going through now. But we have to also accept some sort of responsibility. Last year was a different dilemma. It was a worldwide lockdown, where this year is more of a red test. But again, it was rumoured Pakistan it was going to go on there, but there was no confirmation of that. And I had family members phoning me and needed tickets because of a rumour. I did say it is a rumour, but the tickets, as soon as the rumour comes, the flight tickets go.
Of course, yeah. And also, look at some of those videos where people are, waiting to, and in the PIA offices. One thing I must say, it is heartbreaking to see the way they are sort of mistreated, and the customer service in some of those offices, where they're completely ignored. They aren't really being dealt with any kind of respect. I know there's, hundreds of people that are, coming through their doors. But a bit of empathy, a bit of sympathy wouldn't go amiss, would it?
I think partly the passengers are to be blamed for that as well. Is if you are aware that the service is being repeated last year and again and again and again, people need to learn the lesson from previously. And Alhamdulillah, we got Virgin and British Airways who are running direct flights. So PIA are no longer a direct airlines. And again, PIA are not operating in the UK directly. So they are going under another company to operate them flights, but they are not directly flying themselves. They've been banned from entering the UK and EU. Any flights are being operated by a third party, but under the banner of PIA brand. But again, if you want to really put the emphasis to not book again, yes, there's plenty of airlines. Sometimes I totally understand you got young children or elderly, and it makes a bit more convenience for catching a direct flight. Yeah, by all means, go to Heathrow or Manchester. There's direct flights out with Virgin and British Airways.
Absolutely. Walaikum salam, Brother Safraz Ali and Muzi Brand. If you want to know Brother Wajid's number, as he said earlier, the best thing to do is go on to a search engine and put in Orbit Tours, and you will get all their details, their contact, the email, and then any inquiry that you have, then he will do his best to answer that. It is Orbit, ORBIT, Orbit Tours, TOURS, and that is the company that Brother Wadi's run. So he will, as he said, he's been there, he's done that. He's not here to make any or profiteer from people's misfortunes. He's there to give you advice and in his expert opinion what to do in these unfortunate circumstances. And he was also there this time last year when lockdown was first announced, so he knows what people and families are going through. So certainly a good person to get in touch with. And finally, before I bring the show to a conclusion, people are being charged triple amount for a ticket and still not guaranteed. Absolutely, it is very sad. People's tickets are being cancelled and missold for double, triple the prices. 5-6 lakhs for one ticket. It's just like I said, it is extortionate. But people are willing to pay. People are desperate to come back. Others are finding alternative sources via a non-red list countries. Others are prepared to stay for maybe another month, 2 months, and rather stay there than having to sort of quarantine at £2,000 per adult here in the UK for a minimum of 10 days as well. It is tough. I understand why the British government are thinking they have to do this, because they have, when you've, populated about 50% of the population, the last thing you want is a new strain, more people coming in, and spreading any kind of a new virulent strain. So, but, it is tough. And as someone said, a lot of people knew at some point there were going to be, Pakistan being entered onto the red list. Maybe this was a bit late for some people, maybe a bit too early, but hey ho. All I can say is on behalf of Radio Aapki Awaaz, our thoughts and prayers are with you during these difficult times. We wish you a safe journey at no unreasonable cost, and you come back here within the UK and get returned with your family and friends, and for all to be reunited with everything intact. That's all I can say. As a presenter of Radio Aapki Awaaz. Do you have any final message for everyone? Anyone?
I think you have to be cautious at this time. There's no point trying to panic now, because personally I don't think you'll get a flight. Even if you do, you risk of getting a negative PCR, so you've lost that money. So there is no point panicking. The night is come and gone as far as I'm concerned, because you cannot get in time to get a PCR test. You need to have a ticket. So you're wasting money at this point in time. Wait till the night, see what happens. The next review, like yourself said, will be in a couple of weeks' time, in line with the May 17th announcement. So they will have one review in the next 4 weeks of who's coming off and who is staying on the red list. So, but the government is not changing their mind. anytime before the 9th or for the next couple of weeks. Hopefully, the weather is increasing in Pakistan that'll reduce the infection rates, bring it down enough to come off the red list.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you for that simple and clear message by Wajid Ali from Orbit Tours. Thank you for keeping us both company, especially for the last half an hour, and in particular the first hour of the show between 8 and 9, where we had Liam Byrne also saying that he is in touch with MP Mr. Yasmin Qureshi, and they are putting a joint letter in to the government to question the data and the evidence as to why Pakistan on that list. But that still doesn't, as Wajid said, won't detract or take away from anything from being put onto the red list. So please don't, give in to the fake news that is being perpetrated. Check the reliable sources, which is the gov.uk website. Until next week, when I have Simon Foster, who is the Labour Party Police Crime and Commissioner, who is standing for the elections on the 6th of May, who is going to be obviously putting out the reasons why we should be voting for him. So again, get your questions and comments ready for Simon Foster for the Labour Party, candidate for the Police Crime and Commissioner. Until next week, please continue to look after yourselves and each other. Please, if you do get a letter talking about vaccination and inviting you, please, I encourage and urge everyone for you to take up the vaccination and continue to vaccinate the country, and that's the only way we are going to get out of this pandemic as well. Hi, Muhammad Safak. So until next week, take care and look after yourselves.